So now what we're going to do is we're going to take one specific channel here and we're going to talk about all what these buttons and knobs do, why you need them, what their functions are, and then how to set them up properly. Okay, so the first thing we want to do is we're going to select our channel, and I'm going to turn this off so that this channel would now be on. So if I were to hook a microphone on the stage and somebody walked out to the center of the stage and they start talking, I'm now going to make them sound good. That's what the idea is right now. So the things that we're going to do to make them sound good is we have to have them loud enough. That's the first thing. That's called setting the gain stage. Gain staging is done through three things. Your first gain is here. And what you want to do is as you're talking into the microphone, you're going to get a reading right here. You want the reading to be well up into the green but not into the red. So if it's going green, green, touching yellow, because they're going to be the colors, it's like green, green, yellow, red. Yellow being you're getting close to red, so pay attention, don't drive it too hard. So you want to get a good solid green, and if it touches the yellow occasionally, that's a good level setting. So you would turn this knob clockwise as you're talking, having the person talk in the mic until you get it up here. Now, because of the sound system, it may start to feed back, so what we often will do is pull this fader down. As we bring this up, I'm watching the meters here, and then I bring this up to begin to bring my volume into the house until I get the comfortable level. If you have an ideal setting, this is going to be at the 0 mark, and this is going to be wherever it is to make that level be there, and you're not going to hear feedback. That's the ideal setting. If you set this and you begin to bring this up and you hear feedback, then, or it sounds funny, you know, you listen to it and you go, that sounds terrible, I don't know what's wrong with it, but it just doesn't sound good at all. The next thing we're going to do is we're going to begin looking at the equalization. Now, what I'm going to do over here is I'm going to view, each one of these sections has a view button. So whichever one you press, like right here's the gate, if I press this, it shows me what I'm doing as an adjustment over here, and I'm going to explain that in a minute. But right now we're going to go to equalization. So I'm going to view the equalization, and I will notice if I had a microphone plugged into it, as I'm talking, blue lines are going to show up. It's called a real-time analyzer, and blue lines are going to show up on here. If it sounds bad, most likely you're getting too many blue lines in one of the frequencies. It could be in the low frequency if it sounds like it's really muddy, or if it sounds like it's trying to feedback and it's like really, really high, it's going to have them up here. As a matter of fact, it wouldn't be a bad idea just for demonstration purposes. Let me move this and plug it into this channel. Yeah, so you guys can see what I'm referring to. I'm just going to patch it and then I'll put it back.
Help recap with this part.
Yeah, so I'm just
starting to get into the technical stuff.
B1 through 8. B1 through 8. So we're just going to do local 1 through 8. Check, check, check. So now you see here how I'm getting meter reading as I'm talking in the mic. So I would bring this up until I get a comfortable level here, and now as I bring this up, I should begin to come in the house. So see how that works? So I have this down, I turn this till I get a good green, you know, see like I'm touching up into the yellow occasionally. That is a great setting. And then I just bring this up until I get the right volume in the house. And if it's perfect, then I'm probably going to be in the 0 with my marks right here. So that is an ideal setting. Now if you listen to this and you think, well, Nick, you sound a little funny, I really want to do something to make you sound different, I'm going to let you hear what each of these things do. Now, notice as you look here, you see what my voice is producing on the console. This is really important right here, so I want you guys to pay attention to this. It's like, see these blue lines? I'm going to show you what happens as I adjust the equalization. It's going to change these blue lines. So, like right now, I'm going to sing a pitch and let you see how it goes. Like, oh. So there's my pitch and an overtone. Oh. And you'll notice there's pretty even intervals in that. Like if I take another pitch, ah. Notice how there's like 3 or 4 lines that all go up because you have the root pitch and then you have overtones. Most of the time when you have feedback, it's in the overtones. It's not in the original pitch, which is ah. See, my feedback could be coming from here if it were ah, or there's a whole bunch of activity right there in the middle, ah, or here or here. So now I'm gonna exacerbate the situation and make it feedback so you guys see what feedback looks like on the real-time analyzer. So yeah, that window's open. Let's set it up here and make it feedback. Okay, see right here? See how this is working?
Oh, this one right here is pegged out.
That's what feedback looks like. Now, if I'm going to take that out, what I'm going to do is I'm going to find the frequency right here, turn the equalizer on, and notice that went away.
I can do that again.
Okay, so here's the feedback. What I did, well, actually, let me pull this down so I can explain it before I make it feedback. So the equalizer has to be turned on. Okay, that's the first thing. Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to look at the numbers 1, 2, 3, and 4. You'll notice as I press them, so that's 4, that's 3, that's 2, and that's 1. 1 would have actually been the better one for me to have grabbed because of where the feedback was. So this is number 1. And so when I turn this knob to the left, you'll notice how it reduces whatever's there in, gosh, I keep hitting that with the thing. It reduces whatever's in that frequency range. Now I can make it be wider or more narrow by using this one at the top. So if it's like, if you look at this and there's like a lot of blue lines and they're like in a wide area here, then you're going to want to make that wider and turn it on to knock out a bunch of areas. But if it's just very specific, like in our illustration right now, it's really pretty much just one frequency. So let's make it feedback again so you can see it. Okay, so I'm going to select my 1. I'm going to move it to where I want it to be, which is right over that blue line. Turn it on.
And you're using the frequency to move it, right?
Right. This is the frequency. So if you look at the numbers down here, 20 to 20,000. So the lower frequencies, the lower numbers are going to be the tones in the bottom. The higher frequencies are going to be the tones in the front. So what I'm going to do right this minute is I'm going to make it feedback in the high end. I think I can make it feedback in the high end. So I want you just to hear it. Okay, see? Now, but notice now how it's arranged. There's multiple things that we're feeding back.
On the right, there's like 2 or 3 here.
Yeah, see, you got multiples going on here. So if you were going to try to fix that, you would want to make this wider. And then what I would attempt to do is to bring it in and dial it down like this and make it wide enough so that it would cover those specific frequencies. So that's how I took out the low end frequency that was feeding back, and how much wider I did this one because it was feeding back over a range. So before I leave equalization, does that make pretty good sense?
Y'all want to come up here so y'all can look at it? I think I got the wrong idea.
Yeah, in essence, you're looking at whatever the source of the feedback is, and you're saying, I'm going to take it out. I'm going to eliminate it, and you're eliminating it by using these buttons right here. And like I said, as you press a button, this one becomes active. So now I have another filter that if I want to go, oh, see, I can pull that right down just by doing that. So when you hear feedback in the house or something doesn't sound right, like if somebody sounds really muddy in the bottom, you can
underwater sound.
Yeah, well, what you'll hear more times than not is people say, I sound honky, I sound like wah, 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 wah. That's generally because of the mid frequencies from like 1 to 4K. That's 1,000 to 4,000. These frequencies oftentimes will create feedback, and they often just make you sound funny. So often is the case, what I do is I go to the bottom over here, and you'll notice these types of curves that are in here. And watch when I hit this one, notice how it goes like that. This is a roll off curve, and so I can roll off low end. So if you listen, let me let you listen to my voice here. Check 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Now listen as I turn this to the right. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Notice how I just took all the bass out of my voice. So if somebody sounded real boomy on the bottom end, you just dial it in until you take out whatever they have boominess until it sounds normal to you. Now intelligibility is better, and I'm not exciting the room with a bunch of low end frequencies in my voice. So it helps with intelligibility. So that's one of the things. Now the board has a cool feature built into it in that you can use this button. Instead of having to use one of your 4 filters here, you can actually go to the low cut, and you'll notice it did the same thing. So what it does is it gives you the ability to accomplish that without having to use one of your 4 filters. Because in this application you now have 5 filters to go through and make your EQ curve. If you've set it and you're like, I just don't think I did it right, you can press the reset all button right here and press yes, and it sets it back flat with the exception of the low frequency roll off. You actually have to turn that off manually. Okay, that's basic equalization. Is that